et bienvenue to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the world of ethical hacking and cybersecurity. If you're serious about this field, you've definitely heard of Kali Linux. It's the ultimate playground for security professionals, packed with powerful tools. But with so many options, where do you even start? That's exactly what we're going to cover. We'll break down the top 10 essential hacking tools in Kali Linux that every aspiring and professional hacker absolutely must know. By the end of this video, you'll have a solid roadmap of the tools you need to master to level up your skills. First, let's quickly talk about why Kali Linux is the king. Kali Linux is a Debian-based Linux distribution specifically designed for digital forensics and penetration testing. Think of it as a Swiss Army knife for cybersecurity. It comes pre-installed with hundreds of tools, saving you the massive headache of finding and configuring them individually. It's open source, constantly updated by a dedicated community, and provides a stable, reliable environment for all your security tasks. Using Kali means you're using the industry standard, the same platform the pros use. And trust me, staying on the latest version is crucial as new vulnerabilities and exploits are discovered daily. And Kali's updates keep your toolkit sharp and effective. All right, let's get to the main event, the top 10 tools. We're going to give you a quick rundown of each one before we jump into the demos. First up is NAP, the Network Mapper. It's your go-to for network, discovery, and security auditing. Next, we have Wireshark, the world's foremost network protocol analyzer. It lets you see what's happening on your network at a microscopic level. Then there's the mighty Metasploit Framework, a powerful platform for developing, testing, and executing exploit code. For all you Wi-Fi enthusiasts, we have AirCrackNG, a suite of tools for assessing Wi-Fi network security. Need to crack passwords? John the Ripper is a classic and incredibly effective password cracker. If you're dealing with online login forms, Hydra is your tool for brute forcing your way in. For web application security, Burp Suite is the undisputed champion. It's an all-in-one platform for testing web app vulnerabilities. Following that is Nikto, a web server scanner that checks for thousands of potentially dangerous files and outdated software versions. We also have Ettercap, a comprehensive suite for man-in-the-middle attacks. And finally, Skullmap, which automates the process of detecting and exploiting SQL injection flaws. Now, let's see these tools in action. We'll start with NAP. Open up your terminal and type NAP, SV followed by the target IP address. This command performs a basic scan to identify open ports and the services running on them. See this output. It tells us which ports are open, like port 80 for HTTP, and even tries to determine the version of the web server. This is the first step in reconnaissance, giving you a map of the target's digital footprint. Next, Wireshark. Once you open it, you'll select a network interface, like your Wi-Fi or Ethernet card, and hit Start. Immediately, you'll see a flood of packets. Let's apply a filter, say HTTP, to only see web traffic. Now, if we visit a website, you can see the GET request from our computer and the response from the server. You can even inspect the packets to see the raw data being exchanged. It's incredibly powerful for understanding how protocols work and for spotting unusual activity. Let's move on to the Metasploit Framework. To launch it, just type Misfansol in your terminal. Metasploit is all about modules, exploits, payloads, and auxiliaries. Let's say we found a vulnerability with NAP. We can search for an exploit in Metasploit using the search command. Once we find one, we use it. Set the options like the target IP. Select a payload like a reverse shell and type exploit. If it's successful, you'll gain a shell on the target machine, giving you remote control. Now for AirCrackNG. This is a multi-step process. First, you use AirmanNG to put your wireless card into monitor mode. This allows it to listen to all Wi-Fi traffic in the air, not just traffic addressed to you. Then, you use AeroDumpNG to capture packets from a target network, specifically looking for a WPA handshake. Once you've captured that handshake, you can use AirCrackNG with a wordless to try and crack the password offline. This demonstrates just how vulnerable a weak Wi-Fi password can be, feeling the need to crack some passwords. Let's look at John the Ripper. John is designed to take password hashes, which are what systems store instead of plain text passwords, and crack them. Let's say you've obtained a file with password hashes. You'd simply run the command John followed by the file name. John will automatically detect the hash type and use various techniques, like a dictionary attack with its default word list, to find the original password. You can see it working its magic here, successfully cracking the simple passwords in our test file, similar to John Vidra, but for online services. Let's say you're testing a web login page. You can use Hydra to automate guessing usernames and passwords. The command is a bit longer, but the structure is Hydra, luserlist, ppasslist target _ IP greater than HTTP post form single quotes. You have to specify the service, the login page, and the parameters. Hydra will then rapidly try every combination from your lists until it finds a match. This is why rate limiting on login pages is so important. Next, the essential tool for web app testers, Burp Suite. The free community edition is incredibly powerful. You configure your browser to use Burp as a proxy. Now, every request your browser makes goes through Burp Suite first. You can intercept a request, like a login attempt, modify it before it reaches the server, and see how the server responds. For example, you could change your username to an SQL injection payload to test for vulnerabilities. All right, from the Proxy tab. For automated web scanning, we have Nikto. It's a simple but effective command line tool. Just type Nikto, H followed by your target's URL or IP address. Nikto will then scan the web server against its database of over 6,700 known vulnerabilities, misconfiguration, an insecure file. As you can see from the output, it's flagging potential issues like outdated server software and missing security headers. It's a fantastic first-pass tool for web server security auditing. Now, let's talk about Ettercap, the master of man-in-the-middle attacks. Ettercap has a graphical interface you can launch by typing Ettercap G. You start by scanning for hosts on the network. Then, you select a target and the network gateway and launch an ARP poisoning attack. This tricks the target computer into sending all its traffic through your machine instead of directly to the router. Once the attack is running, you can use other tools like Wireshark to capture and analyze all of the target's traffic. Finally, we have SkullMap. This tool makes finding and exploiting SQL injection vulnerabilities almost easy. If you've identified a URL that might be vulnerable, you can use a command like skullmap, uyor_target_URL, ID equals 1 dbs. This tells skullmap to test the URL and, if it's vulnerable, try to enumerate the databases on the server. As you can see, it found the vulnerability and is now listing all the available databases. From here, you could go on to dump tables, columns, and even the data itself. Okay, that was a whirlwind tour. Now, for some best practices. First, know your tools inside and out. Don't just copy-paste commands. Understand what each flag and option does. Read the documentation. Second, never use these tools on networks or systems you don't own or have explicit permission to test. That's the difference between an ethical hacker and a criminal. Always operate within a controlled lab environment, like a virtual machine setup, when you're learning. And finally, remember that these tools are just one part of the equation. A successful penetration test requires creativity, persistence, and a deep understanding of how systems work. So, to wrap things up, we've covered what Kali Linux is and why it's so important. We've introduced the top 10 must-know tools: NAP for scanning, Wireshark for sniffing, Metasploit for exploiting, AirCrackNG for Wi-Fi, John the Ripper and Hydra for password cracking, Burp Suite and Nikto for web app testing, Ettercap for man-in-the-middle attacks, and skullmap for SQL injection. We've shown you how to get started with each one. The key takeaway is this: mastery comes from practice. Set up your own lab, download vulnerable virtual machines, and get your hands dirty. That's the only way to become truly proficient. For more in-depth tutorials and documentation on each tool, be sure to check the links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. We hope this guide helps you on your cybersecurity journey. If you found this video valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. And if you have any questions or want to share your favorite tool, drop a comment down below. We love hearing from you. Stay curious, stay ethical, and we'll see you in the next one.